We've got a lovely fire to tell a story today, and the story is about Argon 18. So you will have seen by now that I'm changing bike sponsors, which is a big deal for me. I'm going to Argon 18, which I'm really excited about. I think I got very excited by them when they brought out that bike, which is the new Krypton Pro. Argon 18 brought out the Krypton Pro originally in 2019, and this version behind me is the second iteration of that bike. The Krypton and the Krypton Pro was originally designed to be an all-road endurance adventure bike. I think we're seeing a slight change in what an endurance bike is nowadays to being more of an all-road and adventure bike. So it's a bike that's designed for long hours on the bike, big miles, mixed surfaces, something that's super capable and versatile that can basically go anywhere that you want to go or that you're willing to push the bike. If you're running a 1x setup, 40mm tyres. If you're running a 2x setup on a Shimano group set, you can get to about 35mm. And if it's a SRAM group set, slightly bigger, 38mm. This obviously is dependent on tyre choice, rim choice, but the tyre clearance on it is exceptional. One of the features that I really like about this bike is the internal frame storage. So what Argon 18 have done is they've created a compartment in the down tube which comes with a Topeak tool bag slug. I think it looks like a slug, and this slug effectively allows you to have all your tools inside the frame. It's really easy to take in and out of the bike. It's basically you open the lever, take the bottle cage and a bit of the frame off, pull out the slug, use it, put it all back. Really simple. It looks really clean. It's much nicer than having a saddlebag on the bike. I just like it as an idea. I think it makes a lot of sense using that space as well, and it doesn't really add much weight to the build on the bike in general. That's great. Argon 18 have made two levels of this bike. You have the Krypton and you have the Krypton Pro. The Krypton Pro is only available as a frame set, and they do one build option, which is a SRAM red build option. They will be looking to expand this to offer Shimano build options into the range. The Krypton, they do it in two different colors. One is a black and gray, and one is this beautiful blue. And they offer a variety of different build options with that version of the bike. The geometry of the frame is exactly the same. The difference is to do with the carbon layup of both of them. The Krypton Pro is a 900-gram frame set. The Krypton is a slightly heavier build, but has exactly the same features as the Pro does, and different colors. There's been a few significant changes with the Krypton and Krypton Pro, and with the original model that came out in 2019, the handling of them was slightly different. One of the things that Argon 18 wanted to make sure with this new version was that they both rode and handled in the same way. A few takeaways that I had while riding it out in Spain was that it climbs way better than I thought it would. I don't really know how to explain that, but it just climbed really well. I think maybe it's to do with stiffness in the bottom bracket, but I was really impressed with how it climbed. Descending on the bike felt calm but fun, not over twitchy or anything. It felt very responsive but calm, so I didn't feel like I was like taking any crazy stupid risks at first, but really impressed with how it rides. The tyre clearance for me is a huge thing, because I'm a big believer in that bigger tyres are ultimately better. Like, it's better for your comfort. There's a lot of tests out there now that it's not really much slower, and we're seeing that tyre clearance is expanding across all bikes, whether you're using road bikes for racing, more endurance adventure bikes, gravel bikes, whatever the bike is, we're seeing tyre clearance is increasing thanks to disc brakes. And for me, having that bigger tyre allows for more comfort, and I don't think it's any slower. Argon 18 have made the chainstays on this new version of the Krypton and Krypton Pro slightly shorter, but they've still managed to increase the tyre clearance. It could potentially be that one bike that kind of does everything, really. A feature that is on basically every bike in the Argon 18 range is their 3D Plus system. This effectively is all to do with the front end and the headset, spacing, stuff. The 3D Plus system works by providing you with different headset spacer cap things that go on the top of the bike. So what these headset spacer things allow you to do is to basically offer a 0mm, like a flat setup on the frame, a 15mm option and a 30mm option. So it means in theory you could extend the headset by another 30mm. Using this 3D Plus system will allow the bike to be about 5% stiffer at the 15mm setup and 11% stiffer at the 30mm setup. How the 3D Plus system works is it means you can put the headset bearing at the top of this spacer thing, and it means that the fit of the bike will be more versatile to more people. You can offer it for a much wider range of people, and it looks really neat and kind of nicely integrated. It's much smarter. The frame set has blooming hundreds of mounting points on it. You can mount fenders, you can mount racks, you can mount additional bottle cages, you've got top tube mounts to mount a top tube bag. There's loads of ways to mount different stuff on this bike, so it really does become quite versatile if you want to use it as a bikepacking bike or an adventure bike, as well as a maybe more racy bike as well. Going down that route, this could be that one bike that kind of does everything. Historically with Argon 18 bikes, one of the features that most people will know is that the forks were bent. In cycling in the past, forks were often bent because it helped with comfort and compliance, and Argon 18 used that with many of their bike ranges previously. The newest Krypton Pro and Krypton has a straight fork. With this new straight fork, Argon 18 have made 15% more compliance into this front end of the bike, and it doesn't affect or deter anything to do with the stiffness profile and how the bike handles. Effectively, the fork is a bit more comfortable and it's a little bit lighter. It's a win-win. One of the things that really drew me to Argon 18 as a brand is the fact that they use normal 27.2 seat posts. You can use normal stems, you can use normal handlebars. The cabling for the hoses and everything is external from the stem and goes into the 3D Plus headset spacer thingamajig into the frame. This means it's really easy to change handlebars, to change stems, to change seat posts if you want to into a traditional size seat post. For me, that is a huge thing in a world where we're seeing lots of fully integrated bikes, which looks beautiful, admittedly, but does become a bit hard if you need to change and adjust stuff. And with a lot of the events and riding I do sometimes change things. So for me, that's a great benefit, is having everything easy to change and swap out. I'm a big lover of threaded bottom brackets. It's the best. Press fit ones are good in the sense that they save weight by pressing the bearings into the frame, but a threaded bottom bracket ultimately is just the best in terms of serviceability, longevity, and it just isn't annoying. You don't get any of that kind of squeaking noise or clicking or anything that you would get by, if you think of a press in bearing, there's going to be a flex or move element in it. A threaded bottom bracket in it is super stiff. The Krypton and Krypton Pro have got a T47 threaded bottom bracket hole in them. Chris King were one of the brands that started this designer bottom bracket, and I've got a Chris King bottom bracket in there, and it is just mint. It's not, it's purple, but the Krypton model with Hunt wheels, Vittoria tyres, SRAM rival group set weighs in at 8.62 kilos. So it's a competitive weight for an adventure endurance bike. My big sort of conclusion with this bike is it really is a bike that could do a bit of everything. It's a bit of a gravel bike, it's a bit of a road bike, and performs fantastically across multiple different road surfaces. While I was out riding this in Spain, I was really impressed with how it climbs, how it handles, and for me, ultimately, comfort has become something that's become more important as I've got older and with some of the injuries and things I've had over the last couple of years. And this bike ticks all of that. A lot of people ask what size frame and things like that I ride. So I ride a medium frame set with a 120 stem and 38 or 40mm handlebars. And then I always have an inline seat post. The build that I'm riding is built up with Enve SES 4.5 rims. These were originally designed to be raced at Paris-Roubaix under Dimension Data several years ago. It's a wider rim profile, which allows for a wider tyre to sit flush on it, and it's aerodynamically designed around a 25 to a 30mm tyre. The inner dimensions of these rims is 25mm, and they are a hookless rim, so they're designed to be set up tubeless basically. They weigh 1,500 grams give or take, which is a super competitive weight for a relatively deep rim. We saw Tadej Pogačar riding 4.5s on the mountain stages at the Tour de France, so that's more than good enough for me. When I was riding these wheels out in Spain, there's a few things I noticed that I was super impressed with. First of all, Chris King hubs are amazing. Enough said. I was slightly concerned with the depth of the rim and how that would handle in crosswinds and stuff, but I had some quite windy days out in Spain and I had no issues at all. They handled fantastic. The other bit that I really liked is they just sound good. When you're riding and you're pushing down the pedals, they make a nice like whoosh sound. I don't know how to describe it apart from whoosh. White logos on Enve wheels is also so good. The handlebars I've got on my setup are Enve SES AR bars, which is their all-road bar. Now, this is a slightly aero bar, so it's a slightly wider top. Not as extreme as their aero road bar, but it's slightly wider on the top and it's slightly flared on the drops. Now, the bit that I really like with these handlebars that I didn't expect was they have a bit of flex in them, which definitely helps aid comfort. The shape of the drops is also feels really nice when you're on the drops. It feels, for me, like my hands sit in there quite nicely. The stem that I have on this bike is Enve's Aero stem. It's a really surprisingly clever bit of kit for a stem. And Enve designed this in conjunction with the Dimension Data team several years ago. It's been out for a while now. What they've done with this stem is the stem comes with a shim that you insert into the stem. And this gives you either a -7, a -17, a -12 degree setup. But also with the -12 shim, you've got the ability to go 2.5 mil forward or 2.5 mil back, which allows you to really adjust and tweak your fit however suits you and your riding style. The mount for the Garmin head unit is designed in conjunction with K-Edge, but it's an Enve branded mount. Super stable, feels really, really good. It's got some adjustability in it to go up and down, depending on what kind of angle you like your bike computers to be at. And it also comes with a GoPro mount on the underside, which I've just got set up with an exposure light at the moment. I built this bike up with Dura-Ace 9200, the 12-speed group set that has been on the market for a couple of years now. The bike is built up with 52/36 chain rings on the front and an 11/34 cassette on the rear. The crank arm length that I'm riding is 170. I ride a 170 crank on everything apart from a time trial bike where I run a 165. Pedals, I'm using a Garmin Rally pedals with a Shimano cleat body thing. So normal Shimano SPD SL cleats work perfectly fine with these pedals. This is the first time I've used Shimano's 9200 12-speed Dura-Ace group set, and there's a few things I've noticed on this group set as opposed to the 9100 11-speed group set. First big difference, the shifters are really ergonomically shaped. They slightly tilt inwards, therefore they are way more comfortable to have in your hands. It's really, really nice. The second thing that I've noticed is that the shifting is proper snappy. The shifting is really quick and I can't fault the speed of it. I don't think any other group set shifts as quick as the Shimano Dura-Ace group set does. The last thing to mention about this group set is the brakes. The braking is definitely better than the previous generation hydraulic disc brake group set. I don't really know how or why, but it is noticeably more responsive and feels more grippy when you're braking. It was never bad, it just got better. Last thing to mention on this bike is I'm running 32mm Schwalbe Pro 1 tyres. Please bear in mind I am sponsored by Shimano, Schwalbe, Enve and Argon 18. So take this video how you want, but I've tried to be as genuine and honest on my first few rides on what I think of this bike. All in all, super impressed. And it's, me personally, really exciting to be riding on a different bike to what I've been using for years. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about Argon 18, Shimano, Schwalbe, Enve, or anything really with this bike, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. Please like, subscribe, all of that stuff, but looking forward to showing more of the Argon 18 range. Bye. My coffee's cold.